time once again for On Point Live. I'm Michael Horn, but the stars of our show are a pair of gentlemen who since Super Bowl 14 have been analyzing Super Bowls every single year. I'm talking about true legends in the world of sports. Number 15, Vince Ferragamo from the Los Angeles Rams. Number 78, Jackie Slater. Gentlemen, welcome to your broadcast of On Point Live. We're looking for some more analysis this year. Welcome to the show.
Thanks a lot, Michael. It's good to be back on, and we're a little saddened, both Jackie and I. The Rams didn't proceed past that championship game, but they made a gallant effort, but fell short.
Yeah, you're absolutely right about one thing you said, Mike, that we watched Super Bowls ever since Super Bowl 14 when we played in them. Certainly, we were trying to figure out how to get back that next 10 years after that game. But certainly, as fans now and as former players, we enjoy the game. It's the height, it's the zenith of what we're all about on a weekly basis, on a daily basis. And to see these teams overcome these obstacles in many cases and get there and win that championship. It's a special time for former players, no doubt about it.
Well, it is, and we've got a great show for you planned today, talking to preview the upcoming Super Bowl, but we're going to analyze last weekend's championship games as well, too. Want to remind you that our show is brought to you by our good friends at HarmonyCheese.com. Now, everybody's talking about, well, let's get hamburgers, let's get hot dogs, let's get this. Hey, throw that all away when you're going to have your Super Bowl party. Harmony Cheese is where you want to go. They'll mail it right to your door. You can go to their website at harmonycheese.com. Don't forget, when you check out of your first-time order, put in CRN Talk. You get 10% off your order. And I'm just not me saying this. I mean, Jackie Slater, one of the big-time cheese aficionados here, cheesemonger extraordinaire, and Vince Ferragamo pairs his wines.
Mike, it's not just cheese. Remember Miss Bree, probably one of the best charcuterie board designers in the country. She puts together charcuterie boards, man, that are just fabulous for football games and sporting events. And, she's got her own personal touch about it. It's really unique.
And Jackie, you don't have to look down.
Really
just pick down, pick up the piece of cheese, and look right at the camera and watch the game.
Absolutely.
And pair it with wine, with some of that great Vince Ferragamo wines there. Clarissa J, one of the great the wines there. I want to remind you to email us onpoint@crntalk.com. onpoint@crntalk.com with your questions, comments. Check out our website, onpointlive.net. onpointlive.net. This is On Point Live. We'll be back with Vince and Jackie. Stay with us. Welcome back to HarmonyCheese.com's On Point Live with Vince Ferragamo and Jackie Slater. Get your cheese orders in for Super Bowl weekend. Go to HarmonyCheese.com. Put your order in. Don't forget, mention CRN Talk, as in Championship Radio Network, CRN Talk, when you check out 10% off your order. All right, I'm Michael Horn, but I got to ask these guys a question because, Jackie, you mentioned something here just at the opening of the show talking about you've been analyzing Super Bowl since Super Bowl 14 when both of you were in that game against the Pittsburgh Steelers. Here's what the fans don't know. You guys were talking off the air beforehand that's a magical moment when you get a team that gets into the Super Bowl and is there, and whether you win or you lose, sometimes the next year it's a completely different team and that camaraderie is gone. Jackie, how much does that mean for you when you're in the Super Bowl playing with your regular nucleus and the next year everything's broken up? It's tough to get back, isn't it?
It really is. And it's eye-opening to you as a player because I remember when we went to Super Bowl 14, how we gelled toward the end of the season, kicking doors down that no one expected us to do. And we were calling on one another's strengths. And we were really into, not disappointing our teammates and all of that. It was really a unique team. And I remember that following year thinking, okay, well, we're going to be a little bit closer next year. And we get there, and there's 16 guys from that Super Bowl team that are no longer on that team. 16 new people that you have to work in. So when you listen to Sean McVay, when I hear him say, I was looking forward to working with this particular group of guys for another 2 weeks. And then you hear the players talk about how much they were enjoying one another. They knew. Most of these guys have been around for a while, and all of these guys know, including McVay, that next year is a different team. It's a
Well,
different group of guys, Vinny.
you guys
Year.
don't brag about yourselves, but I'm going to brag about you because one of the reasons you guys gelled towards the latter part of the season is our co-host here, Vince Ferragamo, came on and sort of gelled the team offensively there at quarterback. And
Right.
and your thoughts on that, Vince? Once you come back the next season and you and Jackie see a whole different team set up.
Well, I think that's a great point. It's not so much that you disrupted the camaraderie as you changed the camaraderie. The chemistry was different. The different players come on, and there's so much respect and playing for the other person on your team that goes into a team sport like football. And I know the teams respond to their quarterback's behavior and how he interacts with all his teammates. And each year you build that. And when you lose that, I mean, that's why Pittsburgh was repeatedly went to the Super Bowl and won Super Bowls. I mean, in the olden days, today's football is a little different because guys, they change. College football with NIL, they're changing back and forth. And
coming and going.
Guys become free agents, right, Jackie? We didn't have free agency back when we played. And
no, we didn't.
The movement. And it's hard to keep everybody together on the same page.
And you didn't have. Let's take this first game here. The Seahawks 31, the Rams 27. It seems like every team in the NFL has got somebody that's been connected somehow to Sean McVay. So does that screw up his play calling or whatever? And now you add to that on the Seahawks there, Cooper Kupp is there that was a Ram for a long time. Who wants to start? Jackie, you go with it and then throw it to Vince.
Well, it's interesting that you tie those two pieces together. Sean McVay has historically been a supreme play caller, and I like to think an excellent galvanizer of the troops. I mean, people buy into what he is saying to that team, and they galvanize themselves around the talk that he shares with them on a weekly basis. Making everybody feel involved. For me, when I look at the Rams right now, and I look at Sean McVay, I see a guy that's very, very talented and very, very gifted, but he's been a guy that has had to learn. He's been places in the early stages of his career. Vince, you'll remember he was in D.C. and a lot of the people, young upstarts that are doing well at other teams right now, were with him. He has had to grow, and he will continue to grow. Unfortunately, he won't get to continue to grow this particular season because this year is over. So next year we'll have a new Sean McVay with new, new things going, and that's to be considered something to look forward to.
And Vince Ferragamo, he was somewhat speechless after the game, saying he's a man of many words, and he had few words at the press conference afterwards.
Well, that's how critical coaching is when it comes to the playoffs and championship football and getting to the Super Bowl. There's a high premium for great coaching, and that is preparation, instilling confidence in your team. And what I saw in these playoffs was a trifecta of coaching errors. I mean, with three teams, and then they're looking at last year's games with the Detroit Lions and Dan Campbell coming up short against the 49ers, trying to go for it on fourth downs. One thing is to be a gambler. Another thing is to be smart in what you're doing, take points. It happened three times in these playoffs to Sean McVay, Sean Payton, and Ben Johnson. Had they kicked the ball and got the points, especially on your first drive, the game would have been over. Those games would have been entirely different. They all admit it now. Why go for it? You had your third down chance. You don't convert on third down, kick the point, kick the field goal. The second time down, hey, okay, I've had the one shot at it. I'm going to go for it now. You've already got points. And I think these coaches are kicking themselves for the reasons just stated, because everybody else played championship football except the decision making.
But Vince, Vince is being done more, as you have just mentioned. There is a trifecta with it happened to Denver, it happened to the Rams, happened to the Bears the week before. Nowadays, it seems like everybody's ready to take chances and go for it on the fourth down instead of taking those points and putting the pressure on the other team.
You got
to take time to go for it, right, Jackie? It's time to be conservative and get your points. But why do you see so many coaches being fired? There's been 10 coaches fired this year. I mean, that's how much a premium there is for great coaching and seeing teams to go on.
and
I
great
mean, these two
decision making.
coaches that are going, the two Mikes, they had phenomenal years, Jackie. What
Yeah,
can I say?
yeah. Making decision making, from the sideline as a coach is something that I really can't relate to, Vince, because I never had to do it. But I do know that in competition, making decisions and the right decisions is a critical thing to be able to do as a football player, because it could doom a great play call, or it could set a great play call to the zenith that everybody imagined that it would be. Sean McVay, in my opinion, ran upon a guy up there in Seattle who is a young defensive oriented guy. And, Sean said after the game that they were in this one unique formation where the ball was designed to go to, I think, Kyron Williams. And he said after the game that they did not play this particular defense correctly. And he said it was a fortuitous bust on their part that made them double cover in a blitz situation, double cover their primary receiver. Now, Sean knew exactly what the defense was going to do. But in this particular case, the defense apparently knew exactly what Sean was going to do. Now, that's Vince's opinion on that, but Sean said it was a busted play. The guy's smart. He understands what he needs to do to be successful, and he's finding out that there's some other guys guessing as well as he is.
So he's saying, Vince,
it'd rather be lucky than good, right, Michael? But it didn't happen by chance or by accident. The first time they got beat by Kyron Williams on a dip pass to the flat on the left, it was a great concept by McVay, and the guy was wide open. It's not going to have. It's not. You're not going to get burned twice in a game like that, especially with a Mike McDonald at the helm. They had double coverage. They showed blitz. They let a lockdown on all their defensive backs, on their receivers, and double covered Kyron Williams. No place to go with the football.
You're going to find different aspects of this game are going to be uncovered right here on the show today with Vince Ferragamo and Jackie Slater. So hang in there. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, don't forget to tell us your stories at harmonycheese.com. Some of the greats, the 3-pepper cheese or 5-pepper cheese, one of my favorites. I think they might have a 10-pepper by now. And don't forget to email us onpoint@crntalk.com. Again, that's onpoint@crntalk.com. And give us a like on YouTube, On Point Live with Vince and Jackie. Check it out. We'll be back. It's On Point Live. We're back with On Point Live. Jackie Slater, Vince Ferragamo, former Los Angeles Rams Super Bowl experts, taking a look at the last weekend's championship games and onto the coming Super Bowl. Vince Ferragamo, got to start with you here, and then we'll get to Jackie, who's got some pictures to share with us as well, too. We talked about Sean McVay. We talked about the fortuitous bust, which I think, Vince, you mentioned that's a chance. Well, was it a chance, or was it something that both of you have talked about all season long, and that is, why did the Rams get rid of Cooper Kupp? And guess who picked him up? Seattle. Vince, your thoughts?
Yeah, don't trade them to your divisional rival like Seattle. But when Mike McDonald and John Schneider went for their offensive coordinator and Kurt Kubiak, they signed him in January of 2025. Then they picked up Sam Darnold, who was available from Minnesota, which was a great move on their part because they lost Geno Smith. And he came to Seattle on March 27th. And guess what happened on March 28th? They pick up Cooper Kupp. I mean, if this wasn't the downfall of the Rams, I mean, what else is? This guy brings experience. He brings intuition. He just knows how to play the game. He knows how to convey this to his former teammates, and he knows the Rams better than anybody else. It was mind-boggling, and this kid came up big in this game, and this was the time to do it. Hey,
Jackie,
you didn't want me? Okay, let me tell you how good I am. Let me show you how good I am.
Jackie Slater, you played your entire career with the Rams. How important was it to pick up a player that maybe wasn't that good, maybe wasn't that great, but knew things about your opponents that you guys needed to know? Did that happen throughout your career?
Well, it happened on occasion here and there, but not to the impact that I felt like Cooper Cup would have on a football team. First of all, Cooper Cup went back to his hometown. They didn't trade him there, Vince. Cooper Cup was waived. He was cut. He was told that we will no longer need your services. And the first people that jumped on him was his hometown team. He's from right up there. And the interesting thing to me about Cooper Cup, and when I heard that, I was concerned right away because the time or two that I have met and talked with him, everything that I've read, everything that I've heard said about him implied to me that this guy is a player coach. He is a guy that not only does his job and is where he's supposed to be at all times, but he can tell his other teammates where they're supposed to be at all times and how what they're doing impacts the big picture. And that's what Cooper Cup sets himself apart. Now, when you look at the staff at the Seattle Seahawks, what you see is a defensive built mindset from the head coach to the assistant head coach. Leslie Frazier, the assistant head coach, was one of the best defensive safeties that the Chicago Bears had when they had the Super Bowl shuffle going on back there when they thumped us in the NFC Championship game. And he's the assistant head coach to this young, talented defensive mind, Coach McDonald. So they know what they're talking about relative to stopping anybody. They're going to put themselves in the very best position to do that. But then now you bring Cooper Cup over, and here he is. You know, I remember, Vince, and you and I were talking about this before the show. Remember when they would bring guys to our team, and they would be there, 2 or 3 days before we started practicing, and then they would practice with us for one day, and then all of a sudden they were gone. Well, I came to find out after being with the Rams for 20 years that those guys that was going on with, those guys were being milked for every bit of information that they could possibly get from them about our upcoming opponent. And do you think for one moment that McDonald and Leslie Frazier didn't talk to Cooper Cup about Sean McVay and what he thinks? There is no player in the National Football League today, other than perhaps Matthew Stafford, who understands the way Sean McVay thinks better than Cooper Cup.
To a lesser extent.
If you think Cooper Cup, what's that?
I said to a lesser extent, Vince Ferragamo, you played on, Jackie had his whole career with the Rams. You were also on Green Bay. You were also on Buffalo. Did they pick your brain when you were on those teams for the Rams when they were opponents?
No, the Rams picked my brain before I left. So I want to know what made you so successful, what kind of plays you like. But that's the only thing I can recall. But they sent me to the East Coast in a different conference. I went to the AFC East and was in the NFC West, so that's quite a bit different.
It is
scenario. But here it is. In Cooper Cup, we talked about him and how valuable he was with the Rams and being the MVP in that year when they won the Super Bowl. Now he's with Seattle. He's helping Seattle go to a Super Bowl game, and now they got a tough game against New England. So I mean, it's just mind-boggling the kind of performance he had. He had the one touchdown pass, Jackie. You saw him with that third down catch.
Big third down catch.
I mean, don't we have a picture of it somewhere? I mean,
the guy averaged 9. He caught 4 passes, Vince. Every time he caught a pass, he was wide open. Nobody was close to him, and he got the needed yardage for that particular play called for, including the touchdown.
And credit Clint Kubiak for a great offensive scheme. He had JSN, which I think is one of the best receivers in football, without a doubt.
He's already been voted MVP, Vince.
MVP.
He's already been voted Offensive Player of the Year.
When you got a guy like that, Jackie, you just throw the ball at him. He's going to catch it. You saw what he did on the post route. The guy was double covered. He still caught it. And then he catches a ball out of the backfield, which is a great design. They move him all around. And, as tough as he is to defend, no defensive back can defend him one-on-one, let alone 2-on-1.
Right.
He was against one-on-one with a linebacker.
Absolutely.
For a touchdown. Where do you think you're going to throw the football? Right to him.
One of the things, Vince, when you mentioned General Manager John Snyder and how he, pulled this team together with the Njigba and Cooper Cup and Sam Darnold and then also getting rid of Geno Smith and DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett, all good players and all right, but he knew what he was building here, and he knew he was building around Sam Darnold because, Vince, he knew Sam Darnold personally. He and Sam Darnold were together in 2023 in San Francisco. So he knew exactly what he was getting when he brought him there, and Sam Darnold did not deliver. The interesting thing, Vince, that I don't know if you noticed, but I'm sure you did, that I noticed in this championship game was, did you notice that the first impactful pass that Sam Darnold made was a deep ball?
Right.
It was a deep ball.
Shaheed, right? Rashid Shaheed.
Absolutely.
And he is explosive. A guy out of Kent State, Jackie, undrafted. Here's a guy like John Schneider going after a player that they got from New Orleans who was a free agent, and they can see what he can do. I mean, it's amazing.
Yeah, but Vince, to me, that was a setup pass.
Right.
It was a gamble and a setup pass because
right off the bat,
we never saw another deep pass like that the rest of the day. Everything else was underneath coverage. It was just a beautifully designed game plan by Kubiak and the defensive staff with the two of them and Cooper Kupp there.
Yeah,
they were able to put all of that emphasis on slowing the Rams to a roll, which they did not do a great job of because Matthew Stafford was still a very, very good quarterback.
Yeah, and to summarize it, I think, Michael, is the fact that, Matthew Stafford did have a really fine game.
Yes, he did.
Played about as best as you can play. And this team just didn't progress far enough along because they were short-sighted in special teams. There was a special teams play. I feel very bad for the fault on the punt returner,
Smith.
And then the missed call by the coaching staff. So
Xavier Smith, Vince.
Xavier Smith, that punter, what's his name? Michael Dixon, punted 5 times, Jackie, all inside the 20. That's how good they are in special teams. They never miss a field goal. They're just spectacular.
And Vince, don't forget punt coverage. Don't forget punt coverage.
Exactly.
So one of the things that I know a little bit about just in observing it is that if you're covering on a punt, you don't run past the guy that's bobbling the ball. Xavier Smith muffed an earlier punt, and the guy wasn't in position, to take advantage of it.
And it was instructed by the coaching staff, Jackie. Hey,
somebody told him not to overrun the guy like you did last time. You get right in front of him, and if the ball comes out, you're in a position to make a play on it. That's exactly what happened. So that was great coaching.
It seems like the Seattle Seahawks are a gelled team. I mean, you can see from your picture here, Jackie Slater, of Cooper Kupp ready to tap the helmet there of Sam Darnold, that these guys have gelled together and are ready to play, and that momentum may be carrying them big time into the biggest games of their lives right now, especially, Vince, for Sam Darnold, who you and Jackie have been kind of high on as a guy from when he was on Minnesota. He's really got his moment now with Seattle.
Well, it's hard to believe that Minnesota let him go, but Seattle was the recipient of a great move on their part, and they saw what they could do with him because what he did with Justin Jefferson and Addison, he made those guys prolific, and those guys are great receivers. He knew he could do that with JSN, and if he got a guy like Cooper Kupp. And, the rest is history. I mean, he went on to have a great game when most people doubted if he could come through in these kind of clutch situations.
Right.
He proved everybody wrong in this game because he came through with clutch performances. Even at the end of the game, I was so surprised to see Kubiak go with the play action pass plays when they had to kill the clock instead of running the ball, and they came up with first downs. That was very clever. That was amazing.
That was what you call putting a dagger in the throat. That's what that was, Vince. That was no playing around right there. They wanted to finish the Rams off, and they did it in grand fashion. And the interesting thing to me was Sam Darnold, after this ball game, he's standing there, and Cooper Kupp is over there just loving him up with this big old smile on his face like, I told you so. I told you so. And so for me, when I look, I'm disappointed. I've always been a Cooper Cup fan ever since he's been here. I'm disappointed to see him leave here and everything. But in
You got to be
hindsight,
happy for him too.
I'm happy for him as well. I'm happy for him as well. In fact, either one of these two teams, the
right.
Rams, I would prefer to have seen go
Rams
on.
for life. Vince Ferragamo, Jackie Slater will be back on Point Live. Look at Denver and look at New England. See what we think there. Stay with us. On Point Live will return. Welcome back to On Point Live with Vince Ferragamo and Jackie Slater. Brought to you in part by HarmonyCheese.com. Great cheese, great for your Super Bowl party. Get your orders in. You can order right online. They'll deliver it to your door. It's Harmony, HARMONY, cheese, CHEESE.com. Don't forget to mention CRN Talk as your password to get 10% off your first-time order at HarmonyCheese.com. CRN Championship Radio Network. CRN Talk is your keyword for 10% off. All right, let's get into the other big championship game. We had the Denver Broncos playing the New England Patriots, and the game looked pretty fair at the beginning there a little bit. But again, part of that trifecta you talked about, Vince Ferragamo, going for a conversion on fourth down instead of taking the 3 points on the kick, may have cost Denver their game. That and maybe a blizzard that happened there as well too. Boy, that weather changed quickly. Your thoughts, Vince?
Well, the weather can change instantly, especially when you're in Denver, and sometimes, especially when you're flying into that airport, sometimes too. But it started out fine. The weather conditions were permissible, and you could move the ball any which way, and then the second half it just turned miserable because of that snowstorm. But you have to credit again New England, who's gone on. Jackie, I mean, they've on the road. They went 8 games this year, undefeated, and this is their first playoff game on the road. They win this game. They're the only team in history to win 9 games on the road, and it was amazing. And they did it primarily with the way they play defense. I mean, as good as some of these teams in the AFC have been, with the Texans, with the Broncos, I mean, the Steelers. I mean, the offenses were able to overcome that because they were able to march up a good defense against their team and then come back and make the plays and not make any turnovers. So, I mean, credit New England, credit Mike Vrabel, who may be up for Coach of the Year. I think he's done a phenomenal job in New England, and I was I wasn't shocked, but I mean, it was a hard loss for the Broncos, because when they lost Bo Nix, Jackie, it was going to be an uphill battle after that.
There was no doubt about that, Vince. You and I talked about this, and I asked you. I said, where's Jarrett Stidham? Who is Jarrett Stidham? Where did he come from? And you actually told me that you had seen him in a preseason a couple of years ago, and he looked pretty good. You liked his mechanics. You liked everything about what he did. And then I asked you, Vince. I remember asking you, well, did you see him this past preseason? You said no. You said that you hadn't seen him. Well, I knew if you hadn't seen him, he probably hadn't played that much because they were trying to get the other young quarterback going. But think about this, Vince. How do you expect to have a snowball's chance in anywhere in Denver of winning a game against the way the Patriots have been playing, where the quarterback has never thrown a pass, not one single pass, in all of the regular season this year? Your expectations could not have rested on the great defense and the pass rush you had over there, because they do a great job of mixing it up. One of the best play callers out there right now is the young man that's calling plays with the Patriots.
Yeah.
He called him for Tom Brady. He's calling him for another quarterback. Yeah, Josh McDaniels. This guy knows what he's doing. He knows how to dissect the defense. So I felt like that at the very least that was even. So now it comes down to Stidham. and Stidham was not able, with the running game that they tried to deploy, he just wasn't able to get it done.
Jackie, I thought he did an okay job, but let's take a look at defense. Everybody talks about the great defense, and they do have it with the Denver Broncos. But in this case, let's turn the page here and take a look at New England. They allowed just 26 points across 3 playoff games here going into the Super Bowl. What are your thoughts there?
Great defense. The defense, they have a defensive head coach. The guy played defense in the National Football League for what, 8, 9, 10 years, Vince? Something like that. And his whole emphasis, he was under Belichick, one of the great defensive minds that we've seen in the history of our great sport, and he learned a whole lot. So he's going to, and then he went out and got defensive personnel that wasn't on this roster a year ago. Mike Vrabel is not to be underestimated for his abilities to not only motivate, but to equip the defense with the right people that they need to be successful. And that's what the Patriots allowed him to do.
And Jackie, let's look. We're going to get Vincent on this too. Drake May, a good quarterback, but he threw for just 86 yards, but he ran for 65 and scored the Patriots' only touchdown. Your thoughts?
Well, my thoughts are simple. Vince has convinced me. He said that you will never see another stand in the pocket quarterback win the MVP award. That's yet to be decided because we'll watch it. We'll wait to see what's going to happen with Matthew Stafford. But this guy takes off. I mean, look at Lamar. Look at all of the good quarterbacks nowadays. If they can't run with the football, in addition to passing it and hurting defenses, particularly when they play basic coverages, then they're not going to be worth their salty sweat as a quarterback in the NFL. This kid has proven that he has the ability to operate in the pocket and that he can run and make plays with his legs.
Okay, Vince Ferragamo and our producer Corey Marino will want to take a look at your answer here. MVP, Matthew Stafford, the only quarterback in NFL history to throw for 370-plus yards, throw 3-plus TD passes, average 10 yards per pass attempt, and have 0 turnovers and take no more than 1 sack, or Drake May.
Well, okay, yeah, I know I've got the floor now, but you can't discount the fact that Matt Stafford had a great season this year, okay? But in 3 playoff games, he's had those great stats, and they've all been in defeat. And that's what's discouraging. But you can't discount the fact that the guys played well enough to win those games. It's either something else. It's either something in special teams. It's a mistake here or there, a coaching maneuver, an indecision on someone's part. But they've come up short. But this year, at his age, at 37, he's really stood the test of time. Basically, he's really came on strong. And I was really impressed with Matt Stafford's desire to take his team from behind every time he had the ball and successfully drive down the field and score touchdowns. That's tough to do in that hostile environment. Okay, so he deserves a lot of credit. He's played phenomenal. I don't know if he could play any better than he played.
Vince, and I believe your mind changed about him possibly being an MVP when you saw the pocket collapse on him. He was deep in the pocket, and he came out.
He got some yards. He got the first down.
He came out of there running, man. He looked like he got coked. That was an impressive thing to see from Matthew.
It was impressive, Jackie, and I think, but despite him playing that great, I have to give a lot of credit to Drake May as well, because I haven't seen a young quarterback at that age, because he has great coaching in Josh McDaniels, progress as fast as he has this year and throw as accurate and as just prolific passes that he throws. I mean, they're always right there where they need to be. And he can also run the football, because in today's game, these defenses are so they're so versatile. They're so fast. They're so accommodating. They know how to play their defense. The only option sometimes is for the quarterback to make some yards running the ball. And
Absolutely.
There is an instance for that. Why has Josh Allen done so well? Why has Patrick Mahomes done so well? It's different, for a guy like that. But now you have a guy like Drake May who's done it. But as Jackie alluded earlier on, New England's in the Super Bowl because of their defense. In the playoffs, they've only allowed 8 points per game in the playoffs. And during the whole season, all the games that they've won, they've held their opponents to under 20 points a game, like 18 points a game.
Right.
So they don't have to score a lot of points to win. Their defense is doing it for them, but you just can't turn the ball over, and that's something that they have not done. They have not really turned the ball over.
Vince, there's one other thing that we have to consider. We said it, but we have to point this out. Josh McDaniels, the offensive coordinator, he had an unbelievable amount of success with Tom Brady, the master pocket passer. And so with all this different types of pressure and heat they were putting on Tom Brady, Coach McDaniel was putting him in situations where that ball had to come out, and it had to be going to certain areas at certain times. Specifically, these things had to be done, and Tom Brady was getting them done, because if he didn't do it, he was going to get blown up there in the pocket. Now you've got that same play caller that can make those precise play calls, knowing that if they break down late, you've got a guy that can come out of that pocket and make plays 15, 20 yards down the field with his leg. It's a unique situation for the play caller to have this type of a quarterback.
All right, so Vince, looking ahead to the Super Bowl coming up here now, is it going to be Darnold weaving his magic now, getting his chance to showcase his wares, or Drake May with a well-balanced team, or is it going to be a game plan? Is it going to be coaching that does it? Where do you see the strengths?
Combination of both, Michael, because there's going to be great coaching involved, very few mistakes from that end of it, and I think the quarterbacks, we have a young quarterback and one a little bit more experienced and travel-wise that will make decisions. It'll come down to big plays. Who's going to make the big play? Both teams, I think the advantage would probably go to Seattle because of big playmakers like JSN, Cooper Kupp. I mean, they got a running attack, but again, Mike Vrabel on their defense is going to hold them at bay. They're going to hold it down. They're going to hold their fort. And I think maybe some plays can be made by Drake May, and it's going to surprise a lot of people. He can come up and have a great game. He's bound to have a big game now because he's had a couple games that hasn't put up a whole lot of numbers. He's overdue, and I think that's something that needs to be considered. But 2 weeks preparation, Josh McDaniels will have his team ready. As Jackie alluded to, he knows how to screen, he knows how to draw, he knows how to run, cleverness at the upfront line, how they creative plays on the ground, and then play action pass and drop back pass.
Jackie Slater, your thoughts on this?
Vincent, you're absolutely right. I mean, this is going to be probably one of the epic battles, because we've got one of the great play callers, Vince, in the history of the game in McDaniels over there, and he's gonna do his job getting this young quarterback in position to be successful. Now the question remains is, can the young quarterback handle everything that he perhaps might have to do? On the other hand, when you look at the Seattle Seahawks, they're going to be all hands on deck. That means Cooper Kupp, Kubiak, the defensive coordinator. I mean, the head coach is a defensive guy, Leslie Frazier from Tiny Alcorn College in Mississippi, who's been in the NFL for 3 or 4 decades on deck. This is going to be one of the best Super Bowls, in my opinion, that we would have seen in a long time, simply because of those contrasting elements. Good defense minds, good offensive minds, good defensive players, I mean, this is the ultimate Super Bowl for me.
I have a feeling, Jackie, and it's just, I don't know, tell me I'm wrong here, but I think the winning team here, whether it's New England or whether it's Seattle, I think the coach will have a great name like Mike, and that's all I can give you right now.
There's no doubt about it. There's no doubt about it. Mike is going to win this game.
About time Mike's got a little appreciation and shared a little bit. When we come back, we'll take a quick look at some of the coaching situations around the league. Next week, going to be a complete look at the Super Bowl for you here on Point Live. Now, a reminder for you, get your cheese, get your food, get everything ready to go for your Super Bowl party. Go to our friends at harmonycheese.com. Don't forget when
Tell
you order.
Tell them to ask for Bree on this.
Is that who you want to talk to, Bree?
PRN Talk. Don't forget to mention that for discount.
Thank you very much. much. You guys did my job for me. So now all we got to do is just take a break. Email us onpoint@crntalk.com. Onpoint@crntalk.com. Welcome back to On Point Live, the fastest hour in radio and on the internet. Check it out. Don't forget our podcast. Just dial pound 250 on your smartphone. When the call is answered, say find my podcast and then say On Point Live. Vince Ferragamo, Jackie Slater. Vince, new Chargers coach Mike McDaniel. Your thoughts?
Mike McDaniel's offer a real sharp approach, I think, to Justin Herbert's play on the game. I think coming from the 49ers, he had such great success being the offensive coordinator there, and he's very sophisticated as far as, West Coast style offense. And I think that just bodes well for Justin Herbert. I think it's a big improvement for what they will have next year. Jackie, what do you think over Greg Roman? I think they're going to.
Well, I know you said that over and over and over, Vince. And what I'm sensing now is knowing where Mike McDaniel came from. He originated out of I guess back in D.C. with McVay and all those guys. Then he went to San Francisco and ultimately ended up down there in Miami. This guy is probably more going to be in his element now as a play caller than he was as a head coach trying to manage an entire team. So for me, that's going to be something to watch and see. But, we're talking about this guy as a quarterback coach. That quarterback of theirs was outstanding. Vince, you and I talked about him all the time. What I want to know is, what are they going to do? What do you think they're going to have to do about their offensive line? That's a problem.
Yeah, that's the biggest question, Jackie. They're going to have to resolve that up front and get those guys healthy again and really put a lot more emphasis on that offensive line, because that's the protection the quarterback's going to need, especially him, and not being forced to run the ball more than he would like to normally do.
Absolutely.
And the other thing, Mike, is the Pro Bowl this year, and they got something coming up with Shedeur Sanders and Jackie.
Oh my goodness.
As much as I like Shedeur Sanders, he wasn't projected to be the starting quarterback this year. He was a third string quarterback, and he made the Pro Bowl with one of the lowest QBR ratings in the last 20 years.
Since he just made the Pro Bowl, and my question to you is, why would a guy make the Pro Bowl? Should it be based on anything other than just your performance?
No.
And I understand he has some spectacular moments, but if you compare him to Justin Herbert or some of the other guys that played, for a
Let's
lot
hold it for
of
next week, everybody. We got more to talk about. HarmonyCheese.com. Don't forget to mention CRN Talk. 10% off. Get that for you. We'll be back with you next week to handicap the big game coming up. In the meantime, Vince Ferragamo, Jackie Slater, what do we always say?
Stay on point.